have that special cook for you in your home, or I mean, you name it. That bucket list experience, like you said, is kind of that's our bread and butter.
Welcome to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast, where we explore the ins and outs of the seven figure journey. My name is David Gilliland. I'm one of your hosts. We're excited today to have Lee Barkalow with us. Lee. Why don't you say the name of your business? Because I think I said it wrong last time because it has this curate feel to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, David. Pleasure to be here. Yeah, no, the name of our company is Current Group. So it is a mash of curated entertainment, but pronounced Current Group.
Okay, I thought I said it wrong when I said current group when I learned it was curation and entertainment, but okay, current group, um, and it's kind of like really cool. It's like to people who have those bucket list items of like, oh, I've always wanted to, or I'd like to go to this. You want a curated, special entertainment thing from sports to music to whatever that you want to get into that box seat. You want to be at that event. You want to have that special thing just for your team, even bring in that star to be a part of. That's the kind of stuff you can pull off. Is that right, Lee?
Yeah. So I mean, we saw like a big niche market a while back, and it was really that people, don't get me wrong, physical items are really great. We all love to have them, but more and more in the last 5, 6, 10 years, people have been really leaning towards that experiential. So that's we really honed our skills of leveraging the relationships that we have that have open the doors for these people to go and sit courtside at a Laker game that is completely sold out, or meet the team after the game, or have that special cook for you in your home, or I mean, you name it. That bucket list experience, like you said, is kind of that's our bread and butter.
That's cool. That's got to be a fun business just to run and be a part of. Be like, well, I had to go. I mean, it was a quality assurance kind of thing. I had to see.
Yeah.
Of course, I had to be at the event. Well, very cool. And I mean, you've learned. I mean, you're like the rest of us. Entrepreneurship's like full contact sport. There's nothing easy about it. There's a lot of work in it, and there's a lot of bruises. You've probably learned some pretty valuable lessons. And since you've passed the $1 million mark, what's helped you now, grow beyond that double, triple since that time? What have been some of the lessons or the key takeaways that really just made a difference for you and your team?
I mean, the thing that I've really learned is there's a lot of people that say they can do like different deliverables, etc. Accountability for us has been such a major pillar in our growth. So it's really taking that experiential, implementing it, following through, being the first to respond to our clients. It's honestly in a day and age right now where everyone knows you have your phone in your pocket. That response rate for us has just been pivotal, really separating ourselves with a lot of the people that wanting that instant response time. So that forward facing response of our team to the actual client has been a major swing in terms of like people constantly coming back. People like to have that correspondence between expert and then themselves.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, what you're finding people whose whose natural propensity to act a certain way align perfectly with your customer value proposition. Like, so if I'm the guy who's like, I want this special experience, like I want to do my bucket item list, or I've got a friend coming in town that I really want to impress. I want to I want to have the experience of this is the person I have in my back pocket. Like this is they're in my black book, right? Like I just
Yeah.
open it up. Yeah, I know a guy, and I can call that person, and they're picking up, and they can get it done, right? So that accountability, you're going to deliver, and two, you're going to be right there, and it's going to feel like yeah, responsiveness and professionalism, but also almost like a friend. Like, hey, yeah, glad you're calling. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So and so's coming. Yeah, let's get this set up. We'll have that done in no time. And then knowing your team can deliver. Your team's going to do it because everybody can pull it off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, our team is we're really forward facing in the way that we work. We really get to know our team. I'm sorry, our clients, and kind of like the ins and outs. I know if you have a son or a daughter, I know what they like. I know what you like. I know what your wife likes, or your partner or whatever. Um, it's really getting to hone in on they like this sports team over this sports team, and they really dislike that. So we're never really going to put that in front of them, or I know that our client's daughter is a huge, we'll just say a Taylor Swift fan because like everybody's obsessed right now. And we're gonna be on the lookout for all like the really high end experiences surrounding any event that she may be involved with that we can place in front of them where, you know, they may jump on that. I look at, you know, if I'm dealing with my accountant, he's got his 10,000 hours of experience. He's an expert in that. I'm not going to pretend to be, an accountant balancing my own books right now. We as a team, we have our 10,000 hours. We're the experts. We've got our ears to the ground, our eyes are peeled on everything. Um, so it's just really us looking for that extra special stuff constantly, putting it in front of our clients, having them, say, "Oh my god, I didn't even like know that was a thing that you could do, or I didn't even know that existed." That's the fun stuff for us, where that extra smile comes on their face, and they really do get to do that either that bucket list experience or I have a daughter who is turning 4 next year, and anytime I get to do something where she gets happy or she smiles or whatever it is, I'm starting to kind of get why these people will do anything for their kids. So it's fun for us to it's fun for us to be like, oh hey, what about one of your kids, are they into this? And the smile that hits their face is uh it's fun for us. So everybody's like a new challenge in that aspect.
Yeah, you should have like a new slogan, instead of like we're that guy in your back pocket, we're the someone it should instead be like you want to be that mom, you want to be that dad, we can help you get there.
We'll make you super mom or dad. There you go.
Yeah, grand slam every day with your kids. Are you up for it? Right. Anyway, that's kind of cool. Um, yeah, we spend ridiculous money for those things. So let's play then. That was a great little insight. First, you were aligning the team. The team just has to be. They have to have these kind of core principles, these core values, the way that they act and behave. You you can tell them, you can try to train them, but they just have to be it if they're going to deliver the way you need. And you've learned that to help you expand. Any other nuggets you want to share? Things that you felt have been a real boost to your growth?
Yeah, I mean, look, I always look with our team. I always say, I'm like, look, you either have it or you don't, and it's okay either way. It's certainly not like a fault to someone because we're highly sales driven. Obviously, people want what we have, and we sell those experiences. We found that little niche market. Um, some people have that sales tenacity, that creativity. You're thinking outside the box. You are able to keep that steady line and the highs and the lows of a sales position. I always like to say, I'm like, look, at the end of the day, everyone can learn what it is that they're selling. That's not the hard part. It is persevering through that, getting creative, creating that connection with the client. So if there's certainly people out there that are hiring a sales team, like that's the thing that I focus on 100% every time when we're growing our team. That's what's allowed us to elevate a little bit above just having, just placing somebody in a position to sell something. That's what separates like that great salesperson from just like a middle of the line salesperson. So for us, it's really we don't really want to go out and hire 10, 15, 20 people just to have barbers in a shop and think people are going to come just because we have the people there to sell the product. It is we have very, very highly qualified salespeople who understand what it is that we're selling, so that the people on the other line, they expect us to know exactly what we're talking about. They expect those answers to be accurate, concise, and at the end of the day, they are, they're paying for what they get. So for me, it's slow growth, organic growth. I've done it the other way. It works for some people. I've seen the opposite effect. It's not like hire a bunch of people and you're going to get a ton of clients. That's just not been the way that it's worked for me. So slow growth has, in our opinion, and we've seen it in our books, led to high growth financially.
Well, and it sounds like one of the things you've done in your strategic differentiator is you're not a business that has a whole bunch of events that you're just pushing to anyone and everyone. I'm not saying you don't have a lot,
Mhm,
but that's not it. You're not a business that says, "Hey, we're going to be the fastest to get you what you want necessarily." You seem to lean instead on a strength that you have, which is an intimacy with your clientele.
mhm.
I know my clientele deeply. And I may have 500 events that come across, but for that clientele, there's only one
Yep.
that really matters. And that's the one I pitch up to them. They don't hear the other 499, they hear
Yeah.
what I know they need.
Exactly.
And,
There's so much noise out there now that
yeah.
it's for us why people, and I'll say it very clearly. We're not for everybody, and that's okay as well. Um, we want to make sure that the stuff that we are proposing to our clients is like right on the nose. So we take our time sometimes. We're not always the fastest to hit you back in terms of like these are the options that you want. We're gonna be quick, don't get me wrong. You're gonna have something pretty fast in terms of the response rate, but you know that it's going to be quality. You know that it's going to be something that excites either you or makes you look good in front of your
Yeah.
clients or whatever it is that you're trying to do. So it's that anticipatory outcome that we deliver to our clients that I think really separates us from a lot of the noise and the click and buys out there. And those are great. Again, you can really make a lot of money doing that, but there's a huge market in what we do, and I think we've really, we're cornering it more and more every day.
I love that. The capability of this customer intimacy or your market intimacy is what you're leaning into and building around more. How
Yeah.
do I know them deeply to bring them what they need instead of how do I just have a ton of products to throw at them? Or how do I build a machine that as long as you're not trying to fill the entire stadium.
Yeah.
So it's not a production capacity kind of play for you guys. It's curated entertainment based on that tight knit group that you know and you know well.
Exactly. Yeah.
People have to earn being in that space to get known well and then cared for well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a pretty accurate way of looking at it. Yeah.
Cool. No, I love that. And knowing that that's your strength changes the way you grow. And listeners, you would grow your business differently depending on the core strength that you lean on, that you lead out with when you go and win in the market. You might be a distribution play. That's not Lee and his team, right? It's not about anyone can shove their stuff through our channel. It's not that at all. All right.
Mhm.
You're going to curate. So love the name. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you for the nuggets. Now, as we shift gears, the beauty is, I mean, you succeeded. Succeeding in entrepreneurship means you earn the right to a bigger problem, more issues, more challenges. And you brought up one before our call that was kind of cool, and that is, you're like, man, I got to work on the business more. I need some outside help. I need to do this. And you, like all of us, or most of us at least, you're bringing on a consultant to help you figure some things out, right? And work through that. Um,
Mhm.
do you still want to, on this call now, talk about, so how do I get the most out of a consultant?
Yeah.
Or
That's it.
how do
Yeah.
I like, how do I really get the value out of this?
I mean, I want the most value I can get from every angle. So let's grow.
All right, let's play with it. You're welcome to go another direction. You may say, hey, I want more insights on how I organize this, how I lead this here, how I work on the strategy stuff. Feel free to take us another direction. But in the here and now, what were your biggest concerns in bringing a consultant on into your business? because they're actually getting to see the inner workings of your business, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, if you want like a real non-political answer, which is what I'm going to
That's
give you because I feel like that's the most educational one, is that my biggest fear was I was going to spend a lot of money and have not a lot of return. Um, and truthfully, like, I mean, as you're growing your company, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 isn't necessarily like moving the year over year needle for you, but in the moment in time, it's a lot of money, and you
yeah,
can spend that in a lot of different ways. As you grow, you get creative in spending anything. So, um, yeah,
great.
big,
So first, let's calculate the
yeah,
ROI of the consultant.
yeah.
Terrific. So you did some of this in your brain to get there. I mean, we always buy off emotion. Let's just be honest, right? Salespeople know this, but or then we rationalize why we felt it was a good idea. So, what's the value? How much return in revenue or in time do you plan on getting in the first 3 months of having this consultant on board?
Oh man, hard question because I've the way that I've structured my ROI with this one in the beginning and in like that
Yeah.
first 6 months was not necessarily based on financial, even though the decision whether or not to do it was financially motivated. It was more about, and I think any entrepreneur, anybody starting a new company is gonna vibe with this comment that in the beginning you're kind of just like, what works here, what works there. Let's just go in that direction. Let's go in any direction that works, right? What's making me money right now? And sometimes you lose focus of your North Star, really.
Yeah.
And although we have, in my opinion, kept true to our general North Star, I think we've lost focus of what our North Star originally was.
What
And
what
I
what was it anyway? Just give me a feel.
I mean, we generally like we never had like a so we never had like this like crystal clear vision quite yet,
Okay.
and it was always we want to provide you know excellent experiences for things that people cannot get. Really break through that glass ceiling of experiences in a multitude of different verticals, and that's a mouthful, right? You can't accurately hit that and you can't be the best at that. So in the beginning we go, okay, great. This is a great idea. We've got this. It makes money. We've got 0.01% of the world that actually has access to this and then 99% of the world that sees it from the outside and wants in. That's a pretty great buying pool if you ask me. So we say, okay, people want access, right? We're not selling toasters. We are selling bucket list experiences right off the bat. I don't have to convince you. I know already that you want it. But it is, how do we identify and then fill that like white space, if you will? What is it that we are planting our flag in and saying like we are the best at this? And that is like the focus that we can get behind where our whole team can look at that message and say, yeah, we're on board and we're moving towards
Okay.
that goal.
Great. So your number one thing that you chose at this point to hire a consultant for was clarity
Yeah, for
and
the remainder of
alignment.
this year is establishing clarity, and then into 2025 is being like, okay, we're set up. We have clarity. We have obtainable goals. We have a map. We have like whether it is a clear North Star or a clearer North Star. At least we know where the
Perfect.
box is moving with the cart.
I love that. I'm going to give you more numbers that you can play with and stuff you can start measuring it against just for the fun of it. Because with your consultants, and I'm not saying with your particular consultant, though you could apply it to her or to him, um, but with your consultants, uh, you want to be able to see and measure, am I getting what I'm paying for?
Sure.
Am I getting the results that I want? And so when you have roughly 10 employees, and we're going to, if you're let's say you're in the ballpark of between 1 and 3 million revenue, you probably have about 10 team members or something like that, right? So let's, if you're in that space, The main work that needs to happen is first clarity, and then people, the right people in the right places, and the processes. Okay, so this is your key work at this phase. You already have a market, you know how to sell to it, you know how to deliver, but to scale, you have to figure out this clarity and then the people and the processes around it, and it will lead to tripling in size. Okay, so there's your number. Wherever you're at right now, if this is done right, you should be able to triple in size. And I would put it in a time frame of however fast you want to go and however much fuel you can put into it. So with that figured out, you could triple in size in 6 months and burn your hair off, especially your business model. It would be really challenging because of the relationships you have to build in the meantime.
Yeah.
But it's possible. It's probable that within 2 to 3 years that you triple in size. Okay. If you have that figured out.
Mhm.
Right. So kind of think through that. Clarity, people, processes, triple in size. In the next, easily, you better expect it in 5 years, or why are you in business? That's not even fun. Right. And so, we should be able to do that unless that you want the lifestyle at a certain level and you choose to stop it. So there's a good little place to be. Here's the question then. If, let's say, the number one thing you wanted wasn't clarity, people, and processes to do the tripling, which is what would be needed at this phase. Let's say it
Mhm.
was just clarity. Then I like to step back and say, am I getting the value my consultant is best at? So look at how good your consultant's been in the past and what kind of companies they've helped
Mhm.
and what their specialty was. Most consultants are actually good at one, two, maybe three things. Maybe. Most of them are good at one, and then they play in the rest of it. They're like a half step ahead of you in the other areas, but they're 3 steps ahead of you in one. So for a consultant, the reason they're not hired on as full-time employees is because you're able to use them for a very specific thing. So identifying where they're the 3 times, 5 times better than you or anyone else around, you want to use them for the briefest amount of time to get that genius from them
Mhm.
and then pull.
Yep.
Okay, so think consultants on that and think, what are they absolutely the best at? So most will say, I'm great at scaling your business. 90% are maybe they're great at the marketing and sales side and dialing that in, or maybe they're great at the vision side, or maybe they're great in an operations side, or maybe they're really good at the systems, process mapping stuff. So they're a genius in one area, and then they're a jack of all trades in the rest.
Mhm.
And so what I love to do with consultants is to figure out where's their genius. And I'm going to lean heavy to get all of that genius out. And I'm going to be amazed because they're that good at it. Right. It's going to be so cool. And then I'm going to push on that and push on it until I see, no matter how hard I push, they have 3 steps ahead and it feels right. It seems right. It's so good. And it's showing up like that with my team. Like it's working.
Mhm.
Then I take the next thing that we start to work on and I put just as hard. And if they do some and then they want me to move to another thing and they move to another and they seem to have a limitation in these others, it's probably time to find my next consultant.
Sure.
Okay. So there's one way to use a consultant. Find their genius, use them for that, and then tell the world about it. They're so good at this.
Yep. I agree.
Use them for this. Don't use them for this other thing. Use them for this. They're just so good at it. So that's an insight around a consultant. Will I get the value out of them for my investment? I'm assuming, well, some consultants do a month to month, some charge a year, require a year type of thing, right? An investment like that. Um, it, I prefer the month to months when I'm hiring, so I can use their genius for 5 months and leave, right? Or for 3 months and move on to the next. But um, that may help you to feel like, hey, I got the value I needed. Um, what other questions? Like you wanted to make sure you got the the most out of that consultant. What other questions do you have about how to use them, or do you want me to riff more?
Yeah, I mean, let's riff. Let's see, because it feels like you've got some experience in that world too, and like we're just like transparently entering that world of consultancy for our company. So certainly dipping my toe in the water right now. For us, it felt like the right time to do it.
Yeah,
It
great.
was for us, like, organization was everything for us. Like, we had the product, we were making the sales. It's like, okay, in order to go from level 2 to level 3 or higher, you know, you got to get on that ASAP. And it's I mean, honestly, it's the boring stuff, but that's the stuff
Yeah,
that
it
makes their
it is
company
at
go.
first, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're taking the right steps. Like I mean, I don't know your consultant, but you told me about some of the steps you're doing. Those are the right steps, right? It's get the vision clear. It's organize the work so that I know when I'm doing strategic work and how I'm doing that, and when I'm doing operational work and that, and then building the team around there, right? So I'm thinking set the vision, build the team, and now we have to deliver results. That's the work as the leader. I have to start doing that instead of just curating great events, which is
yeah,
what you've been able to do in the past. Now you have to lead this team. And so vision, building the team, delivering results. Those are going to be key activities along with caring for your team throughout that. So I think you're doing the right kind of work. The next piece is how fast are you allowed to go?
mm,
Push to go as fast as possible because your consultant generally will keep up with the pace you choose to go, or they'll be happy to have a retainer to just say, yep, now we should start working on this. And they'll be saying, well, I have to kind of wait for you to act on that before we do the next thing. And that's true. They kind of have to wait for you to act. So you can take in a month, and instead of doing one cycle of learning and implementing, you could do four. So while you have them on board, invest the time. Invest the time to move fast. Build it and get it to them like way before they're expecting. Get it, move it, move it, move it, move it fast. Here, what's next? Hey, we built this. What's next? What's next? So just think, lean in hard, and see how much they have to give.
yeah,
Most of
yeah.
them
I
will
totally
step
agree.
up.
Yeah, I mean, that's we've felt that. At certain times they're pushing us a little bit, or he is pushing
Mhm.
us a little bit, in a good way, totally. And it's just, hey, let's keep this ball moving. You have big aspirations, big goals. You want to hit these levels. All right, if we want to do that, we have to move, and we have to move fast.
That's right.
So it's been look, I don't think it's going to be for everybody. I am so not like a chicken soup for the soul book, self-help book. Like, don't get me wrong, they work great for a lot of people. It's never been my thing, because I can always just like poke holes in everything, and I'm like, well, what about this? What about that? This doesn't make sense for me here. Like, I can see where this doesn't. I'm looking for like a full picture type of solve a lot of the times. And that was my biggest fear going into getting a consultant. Just because I was thinking they're not gonna. How can anybody understand my company when they just work with me a couple of times a month? How is that even feasible? And then I'm paying them all this money, and how does this even make sense? But I will say, to my delight, is that it has shown to do a lot. I've gotten a lot of homework out of it, but it has made me think about our company in a totally different way. So I'm
Yeah,
already starting to see. I'm like, okay, like, we're not getting the financial ROI right away. Granted, we just started this 3-4 weeks ago, but I am already seeing structural organization in my head where, I'm not working so much for the company as I'm working on the company. And that's been my biggest goal. So I can
very cool.
already see the baby steps in that direction.
Awesome. Next thing to do is every month. So remember, so going back, what's the ROI I want? And I'm letting you know, given the business stage you're at right now and the things I just talked about, clarity of vision, processes, and your people, if you get those things lined up, which is what this consultant should be helping you do at this stage in your business, you should be able to triple in business running that game plan. Okay, you should be able to triple. Um, so so watch for that. That should be happening. Um, but and then second, cycle as fast as you can. Don't wait for them to push you on the next one. Do it fast and make the time frame shorter, as many cycles as possible. Okay,
Yeah.
because the worst thing is them telling you the same thing the next time you meet, or tweaking it slightly, and now it's out another 2 weeks. That was a whole month now we've moved
Yeah.
without making. Well, we could have worked on it, and by the time we get here, we're already working the next thing, or maybe midstream. What's next? Oh yeah, why don't you start looking at? Great, I've got that ready, and your trajectory of growth will be crazy. They should have plenty of knowledge and insight to stay way ahead of you. So
Yeah.
work fast. Third one, every month measure your ROI. Now, that may not be in cash on this first month. That's fine. You may look at it and say, I am seeing my business in ways I'd never seen. Month one, it's a win. End of month two, well, I still see it differently than I ever did. This was still good. They helped me do that. I still feel good about working with them. Not good enough. I want to know what the new thing is. Value needed to be added. Okay. How much of your car could you have purchased if you had used that to buy your car instead? Would you be happy with that? Right. Like, I want to see value every month. What did I do? What am I seeing differently now? How has my team improved? Am I seeing the trajectory? So don't let past work count for future payment. Past work was past work.
Yep.
We're paying for this month. So just watch, measure your ROI every month. And that's not against your consultant only, it's against you.
Oh
What
yeah.
you're measuring is, am I putting my all in, or have I given up on this? And am I just not saying it? And I'm keeping this consultant around to feel good. Like, see, I'm investing, we're touching on things, but I'm not making the sacrifice that's needed to really master this discipline. So every
Yeah.
month you're doing a measurement. Those three things I think will be a key thing, since you already have someone. If you were hiring one, I would add one thing more, which is a cultural fit. You have to find a consultant who aligns enough with your vision of what you care deeply about, and not just financial rewards, but how you would go about that. So you're not being advised to do things that later you feel like you have to take a lot of showers for, to
Yeah.
wash off from, right? Later you feel sick in your gut, or you had to lay aside some principle, something. You had to treat someone in a way that you weren't comfortable with because of the way that they always push, because they're going to consult in line with their values, even if they're going to say they'll do it in line with yours. It will always come through. So find a value fit. That's the one thing. That's for listeners. You've already got somebody, but I thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah. No, it totally makes sense. And you're right. Absolutely.
Anyway, Lee, great talking with you. I hope for the listeners that you found value in some of the things we talked about. I know this was a different kind of podcast. Normally, we're solving a business issue, but we all use consultants. We all use these outside resources that we need to plug in for a moment to enhance our capabilities, to enhance our vision. And knowing how to use them is something that will give you, leaps and bounds ahead, and so you don't have to go through multiple consultants before you get the help you really need. So
Yeah.
hopefully you got value out of that. Lee, thank you for what you shared. If someone wants a curated experience, hit a bucket list item, how do they get in touch with you, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, they can certainly go to our website. It's super informative. It's currentgroup.com with one R. Or send me an email, Lee, Lee, at currentgroup.com. Again, one R, Lee at currentgroup.com. And somebody on our team will get back to you super fast, and we'll just kind of start getting to know you a little bit more, and what you do like, what you don't like. And at that point, we're just kind of really like putting special experiences in front of you.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you again. And for the listeners out there, if there's something you gained from this you think was valuable, please like, share, get it to other business owners so they too can benefit from the insights that Lee shared with us today. Until next time, keep striving, keep learning, keep growing, and keep caring.